Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new video. We are going to talk about letter Ha, Jeem and Kha. Those three letters are basically the same, but they differ with regards to where the point is written. For letter Ha, Jeem and Kha, we have several shapes for them. And before we start, we're going to just have a quick look at them and know which one we're going to learn today. So when the hat comes by itself, we have several shapes. So there's an option where you've got a straight head and then you have the body of the hat. The body of the hat either comes in this shape going to the right, or it flips around, rotates and comes back. So this gives us two shapes basically. One that goes straight to the right and the other one coming back, but with a straight head. The second one would be not a straight head, but rather a combination of moves that will give you this triangular head, just like this one. And again, you've got the change of the head, so you've got 1 and 2, and then you've got the change shape of the body of the hat. You've got the one that goes straight or the one that comes back. So you've got two combinations between this head and this bodies and that head and those two. So this will give us four options to choose from when the hat comes by itself. When the hat comes connected at the beginning of a word, again, we have this the shape that looks like this one, but it actually goes down because this one will have 1 point of inclination. Meanwhile, this one is kind of straightish. It's really slightly angled. So this shape would be the generic shape that comes with the majority of the letters. Goes down, then it connects to whatever letter coming after it. We've got two other shapes. One that is preserved for letters following the hat that goes up. So for example, this one is called the almond hat, and it goes down, it comes back. It's relatively similar to this one, but here is the move that you sort of, it constrains you to go up for a high letter, and here you would close it like this, so it would look like an almond basically. So this is the first shape. We've got the second shape, and the third shape would be similar to this one, and we would use this straight up and this really sharp angle, and this hat would connect to letters that go downward. For example, if you want to connect it with another hat, or if you want to connect it to a ra or a meme. So yeah, those are three different shapes that we can choose from depending on the letter that follows the letter ha. So here we've got it singular at the beginning of a word, and when it comes in the middle, we have also other options. For example, if there was a ba or a lam connected to the ha, we would learn this shape, this ya ba, basically that's how it's called, and then the ha would connect from here and it would connect to the straight one, and depending on what's following it, it's either going down if it was the end, or it basically connects just like this one, or it goes down following this ha. But what matters here is how it connects to the letter before it. So this is something that we're going to learn today, and if there was a lam, it's also the same thing. Basically, it's the same straight hat that we learn at the beginning. Or there's the other option of connecting it normally by doing a nabira, then the hat would connect from here. And this would be the big one. So for today, we are not going to learn all these. We're just going to take the first case of this hat connected with the open body of the hat. Then we're going to move on to learn this case. So we're going to learn 1, 2, this one, and 3, which is the ba. And again, learning this one will give us the access to a different shape of the letter ba, because last time we spoke about bas and we said that there are 10 types. So this is going to be included with the 10 types that we've talked about. Now, let's stop talking and start doing the ha, the singular one. So for the singular ha, we're going to start with a 5-point width scale that would give us the size of the top part of the hat. This is basically the top part, and we're going to have a straight line to govern our movement to the right. The first move would start from here, from around the 1 point the last one point that we've got here. This move would be basically going down, then left. So if you were to dissect it, you will have this angle, and you would move down, then left, just like this. I hope it's clear. It's going down, then left. You can see the top edge of this move, and this move is long. Like, it would start from here and it would go all the way outside. It will kind of stop with this angle of the dots. So you would start relatively here, just below the line. You would go down, then left, and you would stop here. Some calligraphers would do it straight. They don't do any sort of inclination or slantation towards the upper edge. But yeah, it's, again, different calligraphers. The second move would be for you to take this edge and go straight back upward, just like this. Then you would come back. So this will give you the shape. This decoration that we first did is something to break the sort of boring, let's say the boring shape of the start of it. So here you would stop here, you would go back, and let's stop here with the edge of this one. So you've got this shape, and from here you're gonna go downward, but with a very slight sort of angle. You don't really curve that much. So you curve upward, you go back until you reach this point. And again, this is the hat by itself. So this is one case. You don't memorize this for all hats. We've finished the first move, which is going back, up and down. Now this would be exaggerated again, just to show you. If you were to write it this way, it would also be good. The important thing is to show this part and to show how long this part is. This first move of the second one has to be long. All right. Now we've stopped here, and here is where the sort of tricky moves start. So you've got the hat, and the belly or the tummy or the body of the hat has certain dimensions to it. So on the right, the lower part of it will have to extrude outside the body of the outside the top part. So you're gonna add this line from this edge and do one point so that you would know where the extended part of the hat would come. And the body itself would look something like this. So when you move downward, you go straight to the left, then down, then back. You see the shape we got here? It is more or less like a loaf of bread. It is not circular, be careful. It is more of a curve this way, then another one that is different than the top one. So when you do this, you would start back from here, leaving one point here so that you'd know, and you would break typically from the third point here. You would go back, breaking your hat, and here the pen would change angle into becoming more straight. So the thing here with regards to this hat is that when you move to the left, you want the end part right here to be more of a sharp angle, like this one. So that when it connects with the lower part down here, it would be this smooth transition of sharpness. It's not an angular connection. So once you go back there, as we said, you go down here, and the lower part, the lower edge, would be one point of gap, which is the left edge of the part here. So you'd go back and finish it with the rotation of the pen, just like this. I'm gonna change into a smaller pen so that the letter would be more visible. So the main thing that we need to keep an eye on is that this edge will contain the body of the hat. The shape, the inside shape of it would look like a loaf of bread rather than a circular shape. The curvature here is different than what we usually think. It has to start lower in a way or another with regards to the curve, but the transition between these two curves starts higher a bit than usual. It is kind of a tricky thing to keep in mind, but with practice you're going to actually reach to this. You will figure this move out. Then when you go back, you don't curve upwards, no, you go back slightly straightish, and what will give you the beauty of the move is the curvature down below here. This is the move that will give you the feeling that the letter is curving upward. It's not you moving the pen upward. All right, and then don't forget to extrude this part. Now some calligraphers do it 1.5. I find it that 1 is enough, and this is how Hashim Burdari did it. Now let's do it with a smaller pen, and again, as usual, make yourself comfortable. You start with this move, going down, then straight or upward, then up with a long stroke, just like this one. Then you would start curving backwards, but you would keep it straightish. You don't curve a lot. You try and keep the upper edge straight. Once you finish it here, you have to go back, and you could actually start from this point. You don't have to start all the way back. You could start from this point to give you a better control over the pen, keeping it inside, going down, and here the pen would change its angle into this one, as you can see. And you would get back to this point with a nice rotation of the pen and extrude it. Now here it is thick, but it's because I've sort of showed you the cuts that the pen has to be vertical rather than the same angle as this one, because here it's really sharp and sort of more than here. Here would be more of a vertical shape to give you this curvature. So again, down left, up, then left, then starting from here, if you would like to, going to the left, the pen would straighten up, then you would get the nice curvature down below here that would take you straight to the right. And again, you see the inside, it would look like this. And here you have your hat's left edge that governs the left part, and with regards to the right part, it would be 1 point extruded. Now, if you want to measure the height of this, it would be 5 points. But again, sometimes it would be tricky to do the height points, but you could do it. It's up to you. And here we've got this 1 point, and with regards to the width up there, it would be the 5 points that we talked about. And what other? All right, you've got this one here, which measures the curvature here, and here's your curve, the first one that goes down, and the second one that ends here, but it ends and it goes straight. So this is the hat by itself, and this is the basic shape. It would take, the hat is easy, but at the same time it's tricky, the movements, the angles that you're going to hold the pen with, so take your time doing it. Moving on to the next part would be the hat when it comes at the beginning of a word, but it connects to normal letters, nothing going up, nothing going down. It's just, for example, connecting to a letter ba, a letter ain, a letter fa, normal letters in general. Now for that one, We would keep the 5 points of width. Generally in hat we always have it 5, so this is something easy to memorize, to keep in mind. On the right part here, we're going to add 1 point of drop just outside so that we could write our letter. And this is basically how much the move will drop. Here it was straight on the right, here it was straightish, but here it will drop dramatically, sort of. And the first move here would actually move upward a bit. And the reason for that is because we are going to move downward and we want it to give a small decoration, not a big one. So you went up, now comes the challenge of curving about this area and ending the pen right over here. So the first move here, we went up and we curved down. The second one would be actually curving downward like this. You want this curvature to show in your hat. So you start here and you go with your curve all the way back to here. Now you could divide it into 3 sections. So the first section would be curving up, the second one would be curving back, and the third one would be a straight line. This part back there. It would look more visible in the other has, but in this one it could be helpful to just get your head around it. After you do this part, you now have the lower edge of the letter. You're going to add 1 point down here, and this 1 point will measure how much drop you're going to drop this letter, and the inside will contain 1 point. So this will also help you to force yourself into going downward rather than going upward. And you will break around this point here. So you're going to keep moving. Then you would start curving backward, and again here you have a curvature that is going the other way around. Again, you're gonna break through here, and you're gonna finish it with whatever letter that follows, but you have to keep an eye on this edge, so the letter has to come after this hat. So if you had a bat, the bat would come over here and continue it. So here is the details of this letter, which is basically having to drop it 1 point and 1 point here, and it is wider than having it straight like here, because in future letters we're going to see the ones that come straight and it connects to a letter that drops down, and that would be kind of shallower. So if we were to use a smaller pen to be able to write a bigger word, let's say, we could again use the 3mm pen. And for this one, we're going to go up, then up a bit, then down for 1 point. Then back and down for another 1 point. Then back here, and we could basically finish it with a bat if we want to. And this could be hub or khab or whatever, or jab. So the jeem would be a dot down here and a kha would be a dot up here. So the scaling 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, and 5 points of width. You could use this with a hat if it was like going backward, but it's better just to leave the upper going letter for the letter alif. So here we have the hat by itself connected to a letter without any complications. Now we're going to look into when it comes at the middle connected to a nabira or a lam, because it's basically the same concept. We go back to the first one that we saw earlier. And for that one, we're going to learn the ba shape or the nabira shape that connects to a letter hat. So whenever you want to connect to a letter hat from the top edge of it, you're going to use this shape. You're not allowed to use other shapes if you were to connect it in this way. There's another shape that we're going to look into, which is based on the ra, because this nebula is based on a ya. So we have 3 points of height for this one, and the top part would be 2 points of height, but it would be 1 point of width basically, and we're going to add 1 point just to govern ourselves with the curvature, just like we did with the hilya for the letter alif. So what you're going to do here typically is start from the midpoint, go up with the curvature to the left. So here it is 3 moves: curving upward to the left, curving downward to the right, then curving back to the left, just like this. So the first one would be a tusk-like shape, going upward with a curvature, and we're going to stop here. You see, it is going upward and curving to the left, just like this. The second move would be curving it back with the same curvature, going back here. And you might want to rotate the pen slightly here to change it, because here it's vertical and it goes up. But here you might want to change it a bit, because the next move would be curving backward. And it is kind of ending up with this point with regards to the scale, but the next letter would come down here. The hat would go all the way here, and this length would be 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And here you would curve the other way around. So what we did here is that we went up, we curved back, and we curved the other way around, just like this. Finally, when you connect your hat would be straightish, but again, it is because you have to leave 1 point. It is going back to the first one, which is curving slightly downward and going to this side, and you would extrude it for 1 point. And this is basically a connected hat to a nebula. Now, when you finish it here, it depends if you had a if this was an end letter, it would normally just go downward like we did before with this shape. If it was connected to something after it, no, you would have to take this 1 point and you would drag this hat down, the same rules that we talked about, and you would connect it to whatever comes after it. Again, let's do it with a smaller pen, just to write a complete word with it. You start with your first move going up, curving to the left. The second one would be curving back, the same angle, the same curvature, but the next one would be going to the left with a curvature. Now here you would typically have a very thin line, but speaking while writing doesn't help doing it right. And this has to go back. This could be a bit longer because this has to be start from here. And you would connect it to a bat, for example, or a combination of bats or whatever. You could basically practice your bats, the ones that you've learned from last lesson, and like combination of letters. So let's say that this was a ya. You want to write yajtabi, for example, yajtabika, to sponsor you, or to care for you. You've got a ya, jeem, ta, ba, ya, yajtabi, and a kaf, let's say, and yeah, let's end it with a ta, with a kaf, which is basically going up, and a ba here. So here you've got a ya and a jeem. So what will happen is that you would take the ya and you would put the dots for the ya here. And the jeem would be this middle part, and you would put the dot for the jeem here. This is where to put the dots if you had a ya and a jeem next to each other. And here you have it, ba, ya. So this is the one that comes connected to a letter. If it was by itself, it is the same story, but you have to basically go up, down, and here you would use the first shape that we talked about with regards to end has. So this is it basically. You've got the singular one that comes by itself. You should start with this one, focus on the top part, and the lower part you will be forced to write it with the letters Ain and another Ha and Jeem and Kha. So I would rather focus on the top part just to get it right, because this is a new move. This move will come later with the letter Ain, so you will have to practice it more often later. Then we've got it when it connects to normal letters in the word Hub. You could write Habib, just Khabab, Khabab. So yeah, do a combination of the letters that you've learned. Then we had it connected to a and this thing you should sort of record it with the previous lessons. So the ba, now you know that it has the short ones or the long ones or the ones that come at the middle or at the end, and you should now add to it this move. So basically going back, down and back. So you have to add this one to the combination of letters that you've learnt before. Yeah, I hope this was beneficial, and we'll see you in the next videos. The next videos we will continue with the letter Ha, inshallah. And for that one, we're going to look into the second shape and what connects to it and how to sort of make the most out of it. And we're going to look into the other body shape instead of this straight one that ends open. This is Ammar Awadi. Like, share and subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about Arabic calligraphy. And as usual, stay safe out there, and I hope you have a lovely day, evening or night. And goodbye.